President Trump today pulled his support for the bipartisan Alexander Murray health care plan in the Senate. The president called the deal a bailout for health insurers.
I won't do anything to enrich the insurance companies, because right now the insurance companies are being enriched. They've been enriched by Obamacare like nothing anybody's ever seen before.
Joining us tonight, Congressman Ron DeSantis of Florida. He's a member of a number of key House committees, including Judiciary, Foreign Affairs, also a member of the Freedom Caucus. Congressman, good to see you.
Good evening.
This is a good evening to you. This is a decision on the part of the president to stop a movement that would have supported the insurance companies and the subsidies that go directly to the insurance companies. It would have been a salvation for Obamacare, would it not?
Of course it would have been. And Lou, the president's right. The insurance companies have made a killing off of Obamacare. They're basically guaranteed profits because people are forced to buy their product with all kinds of restrictions about whether competition can enter the market. So it would be a bailout of the insurance company with no relief for the people whose premiums and deductibles have gone up so much. And so I think the president is siding with taxpayers and with patients here. I think that's the right thing. I hope that the Senate eventually, if we can do tax reform, will finally find a way to honor their promises and find 50 votes to repeal and replace this thing. The reason we're still here is because you had a handful of U.S. senators who broke their promise that they made to the American people to repeal and replace.
Tomorrow's vote on the budget is critical because it lays the foundation for tax reform. This is a very delicate process that the president has embarked upon, selling as hard as he can tax reform, at the same time calling on the leadership of both the Senate and the House to do their jobs. I would have to say the president looks about as presidential as any president could in trying to move all of these agenda items that he campaigned on through the House and the Senate.
He gave a great speech last night at the Heritage Foundation. I was there. He hit on all the right points and made a very strong case for why this will really help middle-class families and help our economy. He also outlined all the things he's done so far this year, from Neil Gorsuch to Nixon, the Paris Climate Accord. And here's the thing. At some point, we need all the Republicans in the Congress, and the House has passed a lot of his bills, but the senators need to stand up and support this agenda. That's what their voters wanted. Some of them would not have been elected had Trump not run for president. So now is the time. I think if we can do tax reform and then do Obamacare, repeal and replace finally at the beginning of the year, I think the president will get at least one more Supreme Court justice before next November's elections. He could go into the midterms with an outstanding record of accomplishment that even surpasses Reagan's first 2 years. But the Congress has got to get in line and help him out.
Yeah, and you've got to give some considerable credit to Lindsey Graham, to Rand Paul, who have decided to align themselves, not on all issues, but to align themselves in the most important and urgent issues with the president. That bodes well, does it not, for the possibilities of moving the agenda through?
I think so. And Lou, when you go back and talk to voters, Republican voters all say the same thing. They say the Senate needs to get its act together. These guys only work 2.5 days a week. They take recesses every other week. Support the president and get this done. And the senators know that the voters are fed up. They're not going to take their excuses anymore. And I think the president's done a good job of highlighting those senators who haven't been helpful along the way. That really focuses our grassroots attention on holding those people accountable.
Well, holding people accountable, to me, Senator Chuck Grassley deserves great credit for finally, at long last, we are seeing an investigation begin. It is beginning somewhat quietly and carefully, but an investigation into the conflicts of interest that surround Hillary Clinton's time as Secretary of State, her role as a member of CFIUS, as well as the Secretary of State, her pay-for-play foundation, that and the former President Bill Clinton, and all that Russia did. You talk about meddling in an election. They were running a racketeering enterprise in this country with a lot of people in Washington, D.C. in that swamp aiding and abetting them.
Oh, this is a massive bombshell. And everything you said is true, Lou, but it also goes further than that. What has the Congress in Washington been preoccupied with? Trump-Russia collusion. After all these months, how much evidence is there of Trump-Russia collusion? Zilch, zero, nada. And yet you have a special counsel, Robert Mueller, who I filed an amendment to our spending bill in September to sunset the Mueller investigation because I don't think he should have been appointed to begin with. Right. But this is the guy who was heading the FBI when all this Russia stuff was going on. That is a significant conflict of interest, and that's something that Congress and the House, we've got to take this head on. The Clintons, the Foundation, Uranium One, and also Comey, Mueller, Rosenstein, all of them, and we need to get the facts and we need to hold people accountable.